Okay, we are going to run or load test again against the new system with the micro caching. And I love this part because it's very fun. You have improved the system and you want to see the result. It's quite exciting part. So let's try to run the test. First, before we start to running the test, I will load the previous runs. So I have these three, as you may remember. This was with the 30 user. So let me open the result. And this was with 45 user. And finally this one with the, I think 70 users, something like that. Let's see, what was the number? Yeah, 70 users. Okay, now we are going to run again, but let me check. We have to start with 30 user. Here I have 10 and here I have 20 user. So nice. Okay, let's run the test. Like before, I will put this part of the video on fast forward, so we don't need to wait for actual time of the test to be run. So you can see the graphs are changing very fast, but in real time it's much slower than that one. So I think the result is quite obvious, and everything is stable. The page response time is quite good, and the CPU is fluctuating between sometimes even 22, 23 to a little bit above the 60%, but in most of the area it's between 40 and 60, which is quite good performance, quite safe area. We don't have any memory leak. Memory is fluctuating. It's quite normal. And if I stop this one and compare this result with the previous one with the database, I will see here we have the response time, average response time. The highest average response time are here. If we go here, you can see that average response time is quite different, massively dropped. We are going to increase the number of the users to see how our application will behave under more pressure. So this was with the 30 users, and And here you can see the top 5 slowest pages. The top, and here if you compare that one to this one, you can see it's quite different. We have 1.69 and it's for the logging post request, which is the default of the ASP.NET. And if you compare these results, which is here, and to this one, you can see we have 12, 8, 6, which is very bad performance. And you can also compare the rest of the information with these. Here is the application with database. Here is application with cache. This one is with 45 users, so I will increase the users here to 10 with 30, so 25 will be 45 users. Yes. Okay, I will save, build, and we can run the test again. So I think I'm going to stop the test, but as you can see, even with 45 users, still we have a consistent system. We have a good performing system. Users reach to 45, and now is fixed number of users in the whole system, actively placing the order and browsing the baskets. The page response time is quite acceptable. The average are very good. CPU is fluctuating very normal, in the almost same range as before. So our application is quite stable. Let's stop this one and compare the result with the 45 when we didn't have the micro caching. So this was 45 user and this one as well. So we can see average response time is still quite good. Very nice average response time. But here you can see again average response time is so high. So the slowest page and the slowest page here. But you can see between the 30 user to 45 users, we have a slightly increase in the numbers. Yeah. And we can see there are lots of spikes in the CPU when we didn't have the cache, but here we have very nice diagram without any instability, here you can see it's quite unstable. So let me increase the number of the users to reach to 70. Increase the user to 50 here and 20 here. It's going to be 70. So let's run the test to see what we got with 70 users. Okay, I left the test to run for 1000 times because I wanted to see the whole diagram and the whole trajectory of the test. When the load test is finishing, it's generate the summary itself. Let me go back to the graph. You can see, although we have 4 warning in the CPU, but in general still is acceptable. For the most part is almost close to 60, 50, and then it drops 2 times in 2 areas, which is good. Average response time of the pages are still reasonable, much better. And the most important thing is that we didn't lose any requests. We don't have any exception. We don't have request timeout. However, in the in this old system, we had 143 request timeout. So it means that it's not acceptable at all. And I think I closed that one. Yeah. Let me open that result again. So here, this was my yes. And if you see that here we have almost same as, it's not the same, but we don't have lots of spike in CPU because we lost lots of queries. So we lost 143 queries. And the whole test has been run just for this test 8 times, just 8 times, and this one 150. But here in the here we run that test 37 times and this one 947. So it's quite different. and we have much better results. So if we want to find the threshold of our application, because at here without microcaching we see that our threshold is quite low. I jump from 45 to 70 users. Maybe the threshold of here is something between these two numbers, maybe 50, 55, or maximum 60. If we put 60, then we will not have any lost request, but we have very bad response time and very slow application. But here with the 70 user, we have much faster application, quite acceptable, and we have non-error. So let's see what is the threshold of our application. For that one, I have to increase the number of the users. So for 50, I will jump to 70 to see how application will behave. So I will increase the test iterations because maybe we need more tests to run, because we have more users and it takes time that we load these users into the system. So let's run this test with the new configuration to see what will be the result. Okay, we see that the test has been finished, and I think still we have very good performance. Even with 90 users, we have the slowest page is the login post page, and the rest is quite good. We can go to the graph and see the graphs as well. So CPU is fluctuating very normally, very good. Memory is also fluctuating very normal, quite normal. And users start for here and then reach to 90, which is good. And we have no error, no exception. These are all good news. So you can see that by adding the microcaching, how our application is now behaving much better, much more consistent. The capacity of our application to handle more users has been increased a lot. The conclusion that I wanted to make is that if you just add any cache in your, for example, if you put the output cache, you will have maybe sometimes better performance in some queries. Okay, now it's time to speak about the conclusion and mention some important things for the microcaching and a small comparison with the other caches as well. So let's go to the conclusion page. This is going to be a short conclusion of what we have done. We migrated a system of basket and basket items which had the capacity of handling 50 users at the same time to a system which works quite effectively with even 90 users. There are lots of cache technologies for different solutions, but microcaching is about an architecture of data that enables you to cache the data in a way that invalidation is quite optimized. What is the ideal solution for a cache system? We can say the system is optimized when the read action is hitting the cache till the time that data is changed. You saw that in microcaching we have read data from the cache, and when the data changed, we have updated data in the cache again. Microcaching is a technique that uses the decoupling principle to develop a system that is performance oriented, in which you can cache all the data and invalidate them without problem. Here I summarize some of the benefit of microcaching. As I mentioned before, in microcaching, invalidation is not an issue. So no invalidation problem for microcaching because the system has been developed in a way that invalidation is there from the beginning. And over the time, when you continue development, there is no problem with invalidation. So in microcaching, you have faster application. You saw that one that we ran the load testing for same configuration, but with introducing the cache, we got much better results and much consistent system. So, and also you have the higher capacity to handle more user. You saw that the capacity has grown from 50, 60 to 90, and I didn't run it with more user. I can do that one, and definitely we will have higher capacity. With the microcaching, you can cache any scenario. Basket and basket item and product was one of the most difficult one, but you saw that we did it in a very reasonable time. You can follow same approach to introduce the microcaching into your application. You need just to break down your component to have different cache repository and introduce the microcache to your system. So, and as you saw in the first part, in the theory part, I showed you this image. In microcaching, we followed a design that is end up with system like this, a decoupled system. We break down the component to separate smaller component and treat them separately and design them separately. So we can conclude that the microcaching is much better fit for a microsystem environment. If you review the code, you will see in the system we have a bunch of cache repository, and you know that we can convert them. Potentially we can convert them to separate microservices because they are like islands. They're working separate than other part of the project, so they can convert to a separate service. But microcaching has also some downsides. The development time is the first one. Anyway, if you are introducing the cache, your development time will increase in the whole team. But I think over the time, this extra development time will pay off a lot, and your company will gain a lot by adding this extra time to the development team. But microcaching is something that the whole team needs to adapt itself to it. It's not something that one developer is following or the other. It needs a complete ecosystem and environment. But there are some ways that you can convert the legacy code to microcaching. For example, you can put one or two experts to introduce the cache repository layer to your whole application, and then teach other developers how to use that layer and how to integrate that layers into the whole application. Thanks for watching the video, and I hope you enjoyed it. And if you like to watch other video that I'm going to publish, please subscribe and click on the notification button so you can get the notification whenever I upload a new video. And please leave your comments under the video. I love to hear your critics and your comments. Thanks again for watching, and have a nice time.